Hi there guys, welcome. These are your handover videos for your 2014 Bailey Unicorn Vigo. These are essentially basic show of how to set up and operate the caravan. So starting off at the front, you've got your black hitch head, which is an AKS 3004 and a black lever. You have to have the black lever pulled up like so, and then wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow ball, which will cause the black lever to essentially snap down. You'll hear a bit of a snapping noise. You'll push up this red button and expose a green ring at the bottom. That means that you're then on. You've got a gas strut operating handbrake, so to just pull it back and forwards and press the button. Then you have 13-pin electric, so if your car does have 7-pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. Is also Alco ATC fitted to this module. Essentially, when that is active, a green light will come on. Using test equipment today here, so on the outside you can see you've got your battery locker. That is where your battery would sit, just there, and then your plug-in for your mains, it's just there. You do have a little bit of a cutout, so essentially you can lock up the locker and not have anyone try and take anything out. 2 points either side, 2 points at the back. You have inserts for your legs. The caravan itself has a leg winder, or you can get yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Do not attempt to jack up or level the caravan using your legs, they're simply used for stabilisation. Coming round to the other side, starting off first, I have an Akrol full of clean drinking water just here, and your water pump. So this is a whale system. Essentially at the bottom you have your strainer. Now it's crucial that the strainer sits at the bottom of the barrel, as otherwise it will be leading to coughs, splutters and gasping of air, which isn't very good. As you can see as well, I've got a little plastic cap to go over the top of the Akrol to make sure no nastiness gets in, and then all I have to do is just plug it in, and then if I push this cap down, I'm not able to remove it, it locks it in place. Just next to it, you have your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice and clean and tidy. Just next to it, you have a propane gas bottle. I'd always recommend propane over butane, as it doesn't freeze over during winter. With an in-date gas hose connected onto that part there, goes up onto this regulator just here. Hand tighten that as much as you can, and then essentially just nip it up using a spanner, just to make sure that both sides are nice and firmly on. You don't want it ridiculously tight because there is a washer inside of that pipe and you don't want it to break. Once both sides are firmly on, twist the gas bottle in the positive or open direction. Moving along, just here we have two inserts where your wastewater will come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe that you can then feed into your waste master and then empty out at the appropriate point on site. Then lastly, we have your toilet function. So at the bottom you have your cassette. To remove your cassettes, you press up on this orange handle and pull out just like so. Now you can also pull and extend that out, which will essentially work as almost like a carry-on, similar to a suitcase. Then to empty this out, you twist this to the side, open up the cap just like so. Then you need to tilt, and at the same time as tilting, continually pressing your vent button just like so. Then what I'd recommend doing, opening up that cap, feeding in some fresh water like I've just done, giving a little bit of a shake, and again tilt and vent. Then on this cap you have measurements of both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into here, slides back on just like so, twist the head back to the side, then put it back in its compartment just like so, so that you can see this orange handle is now sat behind these white teeth, meaning it can't be removed without pressing up the handle. Then this top compartment, that is for your flush water. Get yourself something like a watering can or something similar to that to feed in the water into this part. It can hold 12 litres, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want to overfill it. Now you don't want to travel with either of these too full, so just up here got a little bung which is to drain out any water inside that system. The caravan itself will be fully drained off before you leave with it. Then underneath here we have your boiler, so if you ever need to do a reset, it's on this component here. I also wouldn't recommend storing anything like directly in this space here. Then just here we have your yellow switch valve. When it's in the horizontal position as it is now, that's allowing the flow of water to come through. When you switch it up to the vertical position, like that, that will drain off any water inside the system. When you leave with the caravan, it will be in the actual vertical position itself, so make sure you just switch it to that way. Also, give the caravan a drain off any time just before you leave site, and November to March, unless you're actively using the caravan, have that up permanently. Then you also have your trips and fuses underneath your left hand side bed. All your trips in, all your fuses in, and all your trips in the upright position. I would recommend to carry some extra fuses inside the caravan. Then just here we have your main control system. So this is sort of bolted on with both the main control system and the heating system in one. So you have your master on and off switch just here. So when you press it in, master on. You then have your internal lights, so press that on and off, and then you just use your retrospective light switches. Awning light, so awning off, awning on, just quickly step outside. You can see that's on. And then you have your water pump button just here. I'll show you that in a second. Then you can also cycle through, so you've got user settings. You press enter, and to go through it, you just go up and down, and then exit to main menu. You have internal temperature. Now the internal temperature on this may differ slightly to the one on this. Leisure battery voltage. Now, because there's not currently a leisure battery fitted, that is what the power coming from the mains is. When you just have a leisure battery fitted, that is the retrospective amount coming from the battery. Then you've got your pump button, so pump off, pump on. Now, when you first initially have your pump on, you'll hear it be sucked through. Right, so I've just turned it on. Then what you have to do, come over to your taps. If you haven't used the system in a little bit of while, wait about 2 to 3 minutes. Come over to your taps, open up on both hot and cold, and what you're looking for is this nice, steady, continuous stream. If there's any coughs or splutters, go outside and double check your strainer, make sure it's at the bottom of the barrel. But when you first come in, open it up and let it run for about 30 seconds on both sides. Now, if you're going to be using all components, check your taps at the back and also the shower. And as you can hear, when water leaves the system, it gets drawn back through and replaced. So let it run for about 30 seconds. If there are any coughs or splutters, make sure you do go check outside. So just turned that off, and you can hear it begins to fill up the rest of the boiler, and then it stops. Then at the bottom we have your Alder system. Now, a little bit awkward to show, so camera's going to have to be a little bit weird. So first up, you've got off or on, so you have to have the system on, and then you're cycling through. So next up, you've got the internal temperature. So that thermometer is the internal temperature that you would like. So I have it set to 30, or it can go down as low as 5 degrees. Whatever you set it to, the caravan will get to that temperature. It will take about an hour for your higher temperature. Next up, you've got the tap icon. So this is for your water heat. So you can either have that off or on. There's not a way to directly choose the temperature of the water. It's around about 50 degrees, 40 to 50 degrees. So off or on. Then I've got my first energy source, which is gas, off or on. And then I have my second source, which is mains power. So I can have 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts of power coming into the van. Now do be aware that some sites do not have 3 kilowatt capacity. Now I can either run strictly mains with either 1, 2 or 3, or just strictly gas. It's completely dependent on your situation. And then you cycle through, and that tells you the current internal temperature, which is currently 14.5 degrees. Then you can press it once more, takes it off this blue screen so it doesn't annoy you whilst you sleep. But for now, I'm just going to turn it off. So main thing to know, you've got off or on, internal temperature that you desire, water temperature, your 2 sources, then on here, master, pump, light, awning. Then just here we have your hob, grill and oven. So for this, it's standard to any sort of gas cooker that you might have at home, except the fact that it does have an electric plate. For that, just spin it to whatever gas icon that you want and it will get to that mark. For everything else, you have to twist the dial, press it in, twist it to the side. That will feed the gas through, and then you have to press the gas igniter. This is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, nice blue, clean, continuous flames. Turn it off, back to the central position. Then it's the same concept for the grill and oven. So grill, press it in, twist to the side, do one side and then the other, and then lastly your oven, again press in, twist to the side, and it will light up. Only other real things to note, you need to travel with this glass lid down, but do not put it down until all of these burners are cold to the touch. And also make sure that you turn off your gas whilst you're traveling. You can still have it plugged in, but just turn off the actual bottle itself. And just here we have your domestic fridge operation, so you can turn on and off using this button just here. Then you have the choice of 3 different sources, so you've either got mains, gas, or the battery symbol. Now the battery symbol does not represent leisure battery, it represents when you're plugged in with 13-pin electric. So to choose the source, let's change it over to gas. I just press in on the button. For gas, you'll gradually hear it tick in, then once it's finished ticking, it will then be lit. But we'll go back to mains. This button here, if I press it in, that is a fast freeze option. That will prioritize the freezer over the actual fridge itself. Then we have energy source, so energy power. So we can either have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now, unfortunately, this cell is a little faded, but you can still see that it goes up to 5. 5 being the most powerful, so it's going to chill it the quickest. So just going back to it, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Mains, gas, 13-pin, fast freeze, and a hazard, which you just briefly saw because I accidentally pressed battery. So just to show you, flash up and beep at you, just like so. Then to turn the actual fridge off, you have to press and hold on that button. No more light, meaning it's off. Then just here we have your toilet operation, which you might say is bog simple. Press this button on the top and you can hear that motor. That motor is what will push around any water that is inside the system, the flush tank system that is, into the cassette itself. Then to remove the waste, you press away that handle from yourself, opens up the catch, and then you have to pull it back towards yourself to be able to actually remove the cassette. When the cassette is full, there'll be a red icon come up underneath there telling you to empty it.